And they soiled the bedding and made it wet. Well, how old are these monks? Episode 132, Tipiṭaka, part 68, in which I will recite Pācittiya
65,
or LXV, and probably
66.
If I'm being honest, who knows? Maybe even
67.
We'll see. It's a mystery. Our special guests today, a little unusual, a little bit of a ecumenical exchange program happening. Lakshmi and Ganesh. I'm probably supposed to say Shri or something before the names. I apologize. I mean no disrespect. It's Diwali season, which is sort of like Christmas in a way, in that there's a lot of people decorating with, little colored lights, their balconies and windows and such. A lot of hanging flower and other, like flowers on a string or various other kinds of ornaments. There's things like this. I saw this, I guess it's a Diwali thing. I mean, it's shaped like one of the things that you put oil in and burn, but I mean, who would burn something in this? I mean, I suppose you could. It's meant to be kind of temporary. It's clay, and I asked how much it was, and it was 70 rupees, which is like $1. I couldn't resist, and I said, well, I want it. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I'm keeping it on my desk, kind of keeping lucky things in it, or things that I want to bring luck to. It reminds me of, what the heck, this 49-petaled rose that I made years ago that I used to have that I think I probably gave to Robbie. Well, anyway, hi Robbie, did I give you that, if you're watching? Anyway, long story short, generally, I mean, I'm very ignorant about this, so, you know what you've gotten yourself into. This is a dummy who's, maybe got this much more information than you do, kind of like imparting that, so it's not like I'm like the scholar, the priest who's going to disseminate the information. But what I can tell you is, I think originally Diwali was specifically celebrating the return of Rama after he had successfully slain a demon, and he returned home. But generally, at least around here, and it varies from region to region, Diwali is bigger or less big depending on what state you're in or what have you. It's a time where Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, prosperity, happiness, and Ganesh, god of wisdom and removing obstacles. I sort of liken him to a little bit of a Thoth in the Egyptian sense, or at least the Greco-Egyptian sense. And they're not related. He's not married to her. He's not her son or anything. But they're honored or worshipped, as they say here, together on Diwali. It's actually her birthday. There was a time when the gods and the demons were churning the sea with a big snake. And there's a whole story behind it. I read it a while back, and I've forgotten a lot of the details, but it had something to do with the elixir of immortality. And as they were churning the sea, jewels and things were coming up from the floor of the ocean at a great flower appeared and Lakshmi appeared from inside the flower. You're probably seeing some visual aid. That comes from this, and there's some music attached. So that's fun. You can listen to that for hours if you want after this episode. Ganesh, on the other hand, he was the son of Shiva and Parvati, and there was a sort of a fun-ish story where Parvati was pregnant and Shiva went away and she gave birth alone. And when Shiva returned, there was a young man standing guarding the doorway because Parvati went to take a bath and she told her son Ganesh to please guard the door. And so he wouldn't let Shiva in because he didn't recognize his father, and his father didn't recognize his son. He only came home and there was a strange man there that wasn't letting him in, so he cut off his head, of course. Shiva cut off Ganesha's head. It was a human-looking head before, you see. And then Parvati came out, "What have you done?" And then, "Oh my gosh, to save our son, what can we do?" And they asked all the animals in nature to, who would volunteer their head. And the great elephant, the great wise elephant said, "I will volunteer my head." And so they took his head and placed it on their son. And that's how that came about. But the reason why they're honored together during this time is Lakshmi, on her birthday, comes and honors and blesses the homes of her devotees with wealth and prosperity. But Ganesh is wisdom. So the idea is that you can't have wealth without wisdom because you'll foolishly squander it, which, I mean, the part about churning the sea and stuff like that, you might kind of go, that's a little odd, but that last thing I said, just like, well, that's true. Just look at someone who inherits a lot of wealth in their early 20s or something like that. And that this is also mirrored in the teaching in the 8 auspicious symbols of Vajrayana Buddhism of the jar representing wealth and wisdom, prosperity and wisdom, the wisdom to keep it in a jar. So we honor Ganesh, ACL, Lugdrikni, inside joke, and we honor him first. We call on Ganesh, please bring us wisdom. Okay, thank you. Hey, Lakshmi, please bring us wealth. All right, so that's been our ecumenical exchange program. So these are traditions that, generally speaking, go back before pre-sectarian early Buddhism, which is what we're reading about today. If this is your first time seeing me, go ahead and click here. That'll take you to the Tipiṭaka playlist. Better to start with episode 1 rather than episode 68. And is there anything else? No. I will go ahead and begin. Expiation. Pācittiya. LXV. 65. At one time, the Enlightened One, the Lord, was staying at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove at the squirrel's feeding place. Now at that time in Rajagaha, a group of 17 boys were friends. Of these, the youth Apali was the chief. He'll be Apali for today. Then it occurred to Apali's parents, quote, "By what means could Apali, after our demise, live at ease and not be in want?" End quote. Then it occurred to Upali's parents, quote, "If Upali should learn writing, so would Upali, after our demise, live at ease and not be in want." Then it occurred to Upali's parents, quote, "But if Upali learns writing, his fingers will become painful. If Upali should learn calculation, so would Upali, after our demise, live at ease and not be in want." End quote. Then it occurred to Upali's parents, quote, "But if Upali learns calculation, his breast will become painful." That naturally follows. If Upali should learn money changing, so would Upali after our demise live at ease and not be in want, end quote. Then it occurred to Upali's parents, quote, but if Jesus should come, he'll flip the tables. Just kidding. Quote, but if Upali learns money changing, his eyes will become painful. Now there are these recluses, sons of the Sakyans, pleasant in habit, pleasant in conduct. Having eaten good meals, they lie down on beds sheltered from the wind. Now if Upali should go forth among the recluses, the sons of the Sakyans, so would Upali after our demise live at ease and not be in want. End quote. The boy Upali heard this conversation of parentheses his close parentheses parents. Then the boy Upali approached those boys, and having approached he spoke thus to those boys, quote, come, masters, we will go forth among the recluses, sons of the Sakyans, end quote. I wonder if these 17 boys became the group of 17 monks. We shall see. Quote, if you, master, will go forth, we likewise will also go forth, end quote. Then these boys, having each approached parentheses his close parentheses parents, spoke thus, quote, consent that I may go forth from home into homelessness, end quote. That's what every parent wants to hear, right? Then the parents of those boys consented, thinking, quote, all these boys desire the same thing. They are bent on what is good, end quote. These, having approached monks, asked for the going forth. The monks let them go forth. They conferred the upasampada orientation on them. Getting up in the night towards dawn, these cried out, quote, give kanji, give rice, give solid food, end quote. The monks spoke thus, quote, wait, your reverences, until it turns light. Should there be kanji, you shall drink it. Should there be rice, you shall partake of it. Should there be solid food, you shall eat it. But should there not be kanji or rice or solid food, having walked for alms, you shall eat. End quote. But those monks, being spoken to thus by the monks, cried out just the same, quote, give kanji, give rice, give solid food, end quote. And they soiled the bedding and made it wet. Well, how old are these monks? The Lord, getting up in the night towards the dawn, heard the noise of the boys, and hearing, parentheses, it, close parentheses, he addressed the Venerable Ananda, saying, quote, why ever, Ananda, is there this noise of boys? End quote. Then the Venerable Ananda told this matter to the Lord. Then the Lord, on this occasion, in this connection, having had the order of monks convened, questioned the monks, saying, quote, is it true, as is said, monks, that monks knowingly conferred the upasampada orientation on an individual under 20 years of age? End quote. But wasn't, what's his name, 7 years old? Well, we shall see. Quote, it is true, Lord, end quote. The enlightened one, the Lord, rebuked them, saying, quote, how, monks, can these foolish men knowingly confer the upasampada orientation on an individual under 20 years of age? Monks, an individual under 20 years of age is not able to endure cold, heat, hunger, thirst, contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind and sun, creeping things, abusive, hurtful language. He is not the kind, parentheses, of person, end parentheses, who endures bodily feelings, which arising are painful, acute, sharp, shooting, disagreeable, miserable, deadly. But monks, an individual of 20 years of age is able to endure cold, heat, 3 dots, miserable, deadly. Monks, this is not for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, close parentheses, pleased, 3 dots. And thus, monks, this rule of training should be set forth. Whatever monk should knowingly confer the upasampada orientation on an individual under 20 years of age, both that individual is not ordained and these monks are blameworthy. This is, for him, an offense of expiation. No, all right. Well, there it is. Whatever means 3 dots. Monk means 3 dots. He knows means either he knows by himself or others tell him, or parentheses, someone, close parentheses, tells. Parentheses, him, close parentheses. Under 20 years of age means not attained to 20 years of age. If he thinks, quote, I will confer the upasampada orientation, end quote, parentheses and, close parentheses, looks about for a group, or for a teacher, or for a bull, or for a robe, or if he determines a boundary, there is an offense of wrongdoing. As a result of the motion, there is an offense of wrongdoing. As a result of 2 proclamations, there are offenses of wrongdoing. At the end of the proclamations, there is an offense of expiation for the preceptor and an offense of wrongdoing for the group and for the teacher. If he thinks that he is under 20 years of age, when he is under 20 years of age, parentheses and, close parentheses, confers the upasampada orientation on him being in parentheses, there is an offense of expiation. If he is in doubt as to whether he is under 20 years of age and confers the upasampada orientation, parentheses, on him, close parentheses, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that he has completed 20 years of age when he is under 20 years of age, parentheses and, close parentheses, confers the upasampada orientation, parentheses, on him, close parentheses, there is no offense. Right. If the monk looks like he's probably could be 20, he claims to be 20, but he's not 20. Back then they didn't have fake IDs, but that would probably be the equivalent situation. Then it's like the monk that conferred the initiation on him is not guilty of any crime because, All right. If he thinks that he is under 20 years of age when he has completed 20 years of age, there is an offense of wrongdoing. So if you're like, oh, you look like you're 14, hey, I'm going to initiate you. And they're like, haha, I'm 21, you didn't break any rules. That's wrongdoing because you were intending to do wrongdoing. You were intending to do something wrong, right? If he is in doubt as to whether he has completed 20 years of age, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that he has completed 20 years of age when he has completed 20 years of age, there is no offense. There is no offense if he confers the upasampada orientation on one under 20 years of age, thinking that he has completed 20 years of age. If he confers the upasampada orientation on one who has completed 20 years of age, thinking that they are completed. If he is mad, if he is the first wrongdoer. The 5th, meaning the 65th, right? Yes. I still wonder about that mad monk that's allowed to cut off the heads of crows and confer monkhood on children. But I was it Makala the Great or someone the Great? He was the one who attained at 7 years of age, right? He had completed the whole process and attained mastery, and then he became the one responsible for assigning lodgings and food rations. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe maybe at 7 years of age means that he had been a monk for 7 years. So that's interesting. I was like imagining that these were all children up till now because life expectancy was shorter, I assume, back then. But 20 years, that's clear. 20 years, right? All right. You can't be a fully initiated monk. You can be a probationer. You can be like, in training. But then on your 20th birthday, then you get to go through your initiation. Cool. All right. Good to know. All right. Okay. Thank you, children. The 17 boys who presumably became the group of 17 monks. I think that's fair to assume. 17 is a very specific number, isn't it? Expiation. Unless the group of 6 monks, well, it's usually the group of 6 monks, so we know who we're talking about. The 3 birds, the dog, a cow, and the elephant, right? For those listening to the audio only, that might be confusing. There's visual aids on the YouTube version. Never mind. This group of 17 monks is like a rhinoceros, but it looks like he's made of a lot of smaller parts. Anyway, let's keep reading, shall we? Expiation, Pācittiya, LXVI, 66. At one time, the Enlightened One, the Lord, was staying at Savatthi in the Jeta Grove in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time a certain caravan was desirous of going from Rajagaha to the south. A certain monk spoke to these people, quote, "I will go together with the venerable ones," end quote. Quote, "But we, honored sir, shall evade the tax," end quote. Quote, "Do you understand, parentheses, how to do so, parentheses, sirs?" End quote. Then the overseers heard, quote, "A caravan will evade the tax," end quote. "They infested the way." What does that mean? Well, it's got the words in Pali, but it doesn't explain what it means. All right. Then these overseers, having seized and ransacked that caravan, spoke thus to that monk, quote, "How is it that you, honored sir, knowingly go together with a caravan, parentheses, set out, parentheses, theft, set on, end parentheses, theft, end quote, parentheses, and, close parentheses, having detained him, they set him free. Then that monk, having arrived at Savatthi, told this matter to the monks. Those who were modest monks, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, quote, how can a monk having arranged together with a caravan, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, knowingly go along the same high road, end quote, 3 dots, quote, is it true, as is said, that you, monk, 3 dots, knowingly went along the same high road, end quote, quote, it is true, Lord, end quote. The Enlightened One, the Lord, rebuked him, saying, quote, how can you, foolish man, having arranged together with a caravan, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, knowingly go along the same high road? It is not, foolish man, for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, close parentheses, pleased, 3 dots. And thus, monks, this rule of training should be set forth. Whatever monk, having arranged together with a caravan, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, should knowingly go along the same high road, even among villages, there is an offense of expiation, end quote. Whatever means, 3 dots. Monk means, 3 dots. He knows means, either he knows by himself or others tell him, or, parentheses, someone tells him. Caravan, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, means they are thieves who have done the deed, or who have not done the deed, or they go for the robbing of kings, or they evade the tax. Together with means together. Having arranged means, if one arranges, saying, quote, we are going, reverend sir, we are going, honored sir, we are going, honored sir, we are going, reverend sir, we are going either today or tomorrow or the next day, end quote, there is an offense of wrongdoing. Even among villages means, in a village close enough for a cock, parentheses, to walk, close parentheses, among every, parentheses, such, close parentheses, village, There is an offense of expiation. For every half yojana in what is not a village, in the jungle, there is an offense of expiation. If he thinks that a caravan is, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, when the caravan is, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, and having arranged goes along the same high road, even among villages, there is an offense of expiation. If he is in doubt as to whether a caravan is, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that a caravan is not, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, when the caravan is, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, no offense. If the monk doesn't know that they're going to evade tax, he didn't do anything wrong. If monks arrange, parentheses, and, close parentheses, the people do not arrange, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that the caravan is, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, when the caravan is not, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, there is an offense of wrongdoing. I'm going to travel with these thieves that are going to evade the tax. Well, they're paying the tax. That's weird. Yeah, you did wrong, buddy. You were doing something wrong in your heart, even though technically you didn't do the expiation. It's a wrongdoing, right? Makes sense. If he is in doubt as to whether the caravan is not, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If he thinks that the caravan is not, close parentheses, nope, open parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, when the caravan is not, parentheses, set on, close parentheses, theft, there is no offense. Did you lose track because of all the parentheses and close parentheses? That's understandable. There is no offense if they go not having arranged. If the people arrange, parentheses and close parentheses, monks do not arrange. If they go without, parentheses, making, close parentheses, a rendezvous, or a rendezvous. If there are accidents. If he is mad. If he is the first wrongdoer. The sixth, meaning the 66th. That reminds me, rendezvous reminded me, don't forget that, the word Buddhism. Ism is a Greek suffix and should be pronounced ism. It's Buddhism. Get your Greek suffixes right. I'm only kidding, obviously. It's a joke. It's meant to be a joke. With a point. Expiation. Pācittiya. LXVII. 67. At one time, the Enlightened One, the Lord, was staying at Savatthi in the Jeta Grove in Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, a certain monk going to Savatthi through the Kosalan districts passed by a certain village gate. A certain woman, having quarreled with her husband, having departed from the village, having seen that monk, spoke thus, quote, "Where, honored sir, will the master go?" End quote. Quote, "I, sister, will go to Savatthi." End quote. Quote, "I will go together with the master." End quote. Quote, "If you wish to, sister." End quote. He said. Then that woman's husband, having departed from the village, asked people, "Have the masters seen such and such a woman?" Watch out, Pee-wee. End quote. Quote, "She, master, is going along with one who has gone forth." End quote. Then that man, having followed after her, having seized that monk, having thrashed him, set him free. Then that monk, incensed, sat down at the foot of a certain tree. Then that woman spoke thus to that man, quote, "Master, that monk did not make me come out, but it is I myself who am going along together with this monk. This monk is innocent. Go along, apologize to him." End quote. Then that man apologized to that monk. Then that monk, having arrived at Savatthi, told this matter to the monks. those who were modest monks, 3 dots, spread it about, saying, let's pause for a moment, I think he's going to be in trouble for agreeing to travel along with a woman. What do you think? Maybe he's in trouble for something else? Did not Shanzan travel together with a woman in that movie? Never mind. Quote, how can a monk having arranged together with a woman go along the same high road? End quote. I totally called it. Shanzan, you dirty birdie. You are guilty of an offensive expiation in the Theravadan tradition. Is it true, as is said, that you, monk, having arranged together with a woman, went along the same high road? End quote. Quote, it is true, Lord, end quote. The enlightened one, the Lord, rebuked him, saying, quote, how can you, foolish man, having arranged together with a woman, go along the same high road? It is not, foolish man, for pleasing those who are not, parentheses, yet, close parentheses, pleased. Oh, but it was, sir. No, I'm only kidding. Pleased in this context doesn't mean that. 3 dots. And thus, monks, this rule of training should be set forth. Whatever monk having arranged together with a woman should go along the same high road, even among villages, there is an offense of expiation. Whatever means 3 dots. Monk means 3 dots. Woman means a human woman, not a female yaka, not a female departed one, not a female animal. She is intelligent, competent to know good speech, bad speech, what is lewd, what is not lewd. There's your loophole. You can find it right in there. Just find somebody who doesn't know the difference between lewd and not lewd. You can walk with those women. They're not women by definition. I'm just making fun. I'm sorry. I should probably make this the last of these that I recite because I'm getting too silly. Together with means together. Having arranged means, I'm just like, sure, these were the rules back then, the rules for monks in BC 6th century. But I've seen monks walking with women. I didn't think, well, actually, Piyu and I would, that's Priyal for short as Piyu. We'd make comments like, oh, is this monk on a date? But it's fine. I don't see anything wrong with it. But it was forbidden, so if you hear a little bit of mocking in my voice, I apologize. I don't mean to be mocking the scriptures. It's just dated. Let's just say that. It's a little old-fashioned for my taste. Having arranged means if one arranges, saying, she's a human being, right? He's a human being. Is there an exception if she's your cousin? Is there an exception if they are having an interesting conversation about philosophy? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to walk, and I'm not allowed to walk with you because you're a woman. It's unfortunate, on a certain level, that, something as positive and helpful as Buddhism can be associated with things that are old-fashioned in a bad way. That's it. But I'm going to read it, and I'm going to make my comments, and I apologize to anyone who feels rubbed the wrong way by that. All right. Having arranged means if one arranges, saying, quote, within quotes, we are going, sister, we are going, master, we are going, master, we are going, sister, we are going either today or tomorrow, or 3 dots, parentheses, see Pācittiya, 67. That's what we're reading. You're saying, see the thing that I'm reading. Or, 66. Right. Yeah, there's something similar in 66. All right. If he thinks that it is a woman, when it is a woman, parentheses and, close parentheses, having arranged goes along the same high road, even among villages, there is an offense of expiation. If he is in doubt as to whether it is a woman, 3 dots. Is it expiation? I don't know, because a lot of times when you're in doubt as to whether it's a woman, then it's like a lesser offense. But I'll keep reading. We don't know because Miss Horner left it out. If he thinks that it is not a woman when it is a woman, 3 dots, offense of expiation. Okay, so we can assume all those situations are expiation. All right. If a monk arranges, parentheses, and, close parentheses, the woman does not arrange, there is an offense of wrongdoing. If the monk is like, I'm going to go at the same time that woman goes, and she's like, what? Why are you walking with me? It's less of an offense than if they arrange it together. All right. If having arranged, he goes along the same high road together with a female yaka, or a female departed one, or with a eunuch, or with an animal in the form of a human woman, even among villages, there is an offense of wrongdoing. It's a lesser offense. If he thinks that it is a woman when it is not a woman, there is an offense of wrongdoing. But if he's in doubt, then it's expiation? Whatever. All right. If he is in doubt as to whether it is not a woman, there is an offense of wrongdoing. Those dots. I don't know. If he thinks that it is not a woman when it is not a woman, there is no offense. Dated. It's dated. This came out before 2017-ish, right? So it's dated. There is no offense if he goes not having arranged. If the woman arranges, parentheses, and, close parentheses, the monk does not arrange. If he goes without, parentheses, making, close parentheses, a rendezvous. If there are accidents. If he is mad. If he is the first wrongdoer. The 7th. Oh, they had to sneak a sexist one in here just to piss me off. I hate it when they do that. I thought we were done with those. They had their own group of 10 a while back. We don't need any more of those, please. Good vibes only, right? White light only. Spiritual bypassing. No. So that was fun, was it? Was it fun? I don't know. I'm having fun. Learning the rules, reading the ancient rules for monks. Don't walk with women. All right. Don't sit with women in a private place, but you can sit in a public place. Don't walk anywhere. Walking together is out. Which I think is lame. I know you're not supposed to say lame anymore, right? All right. Thank you all for going on this silly ride with me. What were the other 2? The first 2? Oh yeah, under 20. Don't initiate monks until they're 20. The second one was right. Don't travel with a caravan that's gonna evade taxes. All right, those 2 I'm totally down with. The third one, I'm not. All right, but different time. I'll go ahead and close now, shall I? Thank you very much for joining us today on the Buddhist Books podcast to Lakshmi and Ganesh, Sri Lakshmi and Sri Ganesh. And all right. Happy Diwali to everyone. On the 24th is the official day, but it's Diwali season. I wasn't sure if I was going to actually record on the day itself, so I figured record today. But then, see everyone. Hey Ganesh, can you turn into a baby real quick? Whoa! How come the baby's bigger than the adult? Weird. Hey Ganesh, can you do something silly? Thank you. Yes, that's very silly. He sits over there with shorts on. I'll go ahead and close now, shall I? To the north and to the south, to the east and to the west, to the spirits of light among us and to the spirits below. we send out our reverent love and compassion. May all beings be happy. May all beings be serene. May all beings be in peace. Until next time.
Bhavavayahariణि pāpa vimochani sadhu jana